And joining me in the studio to discuss more about our region's transportation evolution are Jane Hayse, Chief of Transportation Planning for the Atlanta Regional Commission, and Morris Dillard, a partner with the transportation planning firm DW and Associates. He also served in several capacities at MARTA as a point person for community and government relations. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate your time on Shape of Things to Come. Let's start here. We all know that Atlanta has a very long history of being a huge hub, a transportation hub and a logistics hub. It has created an economic boom for this area and a huge population growth, but it's come at a cost. What are the costs, Jane?
Well, you're exactly right. The metropolitan area of Atlanta grew by 1 million people over the decade of the 1990s, and we're at a faster pace today. And there are tremendous costs in providing transportation services for people to go to work, go to entertainment all over the region. And we have to look at various options for people to travel. In addition, you mentioned logistics.
Sure.
Atlanta is a huge logistics hub, not only for this country, but part of the whole entire global network of moving goods across the country, and we have to look at the options there too. Tremendous challenges.
Your interpretation of costs to this area when it comes to transportation and the success we've had.
As Jane said, the growth has imposed upon the entire infrastructure, not just transportation, but our water and sewers, everything.
Air.
Tremendous pressures, and the infrastructure has not kept up with the growth.
That's one of the key issues we're dealing with right now today at the Atlanta Regional Commission, because costs have escalated so much more than the inflation rate, and it is costing so much more to build these options, improve our streets, improve our transit options, and so we have to be very strategic about where we should place those improvements so that they can benefit the most people for the dollar.
To date, describe your marks or give marks to transit. Generally, how have we done?
I think we've done well. In fact, I think that much of the growth that you refer to can be attributed to transit. Transit stimulated a lot of that growth.
And we should point out, transit's a wide variety. It's the bus, it's rail, it's a lot of things.
Exactly. I tend to look at anything that is shared ride. We have more than one person is in the transit family. So I think we should give ourselves a good marks for transit, but there's not enough transit in the region, not even close to enough transit in the region, and as a result, people continue to use their cars. And
when you say not enough, are we at 50%, 25% of what we ultimately need?
Oh, I think we're less than 50% of what we need. Yes.
Optimistically, though, if you look back to even 10 years ago, actually during the Olympic Games, we have so many more transit options now than we did just 10 years ago. And Morris is right. We still have a long way to go, but we are getting there. We are evolving slowly. We have express bus systems now that we didn't
exist 10 years ago.
Exactly. And we also have the Transit Planning Board that's been created to look at creating a seamless transit network for the region. So I'm very optimistic about transit improvements.
Look specifically at population. I'm going to give you some statistics that cover really from the beginning of time as we look at it at the city of Atlanta. It took 122 years from the founding of Atlanta for the area to reach 1 million, and that was in 1959. The second million came 21 years later in 1980. The third million took 13 years. Fourth million, 7 years. Fifth million, which came in 06, less than 6 years. The impact of that mighty growth.
And it's a running, by the way, is that as we were reaching the first million, we were already looking into the future and projecting the growth that we are now seeing. And the planners at that time could foresee serious difficulty if we didn't do something about it. And they laid out a very visionary plan to do something about it, to work on land use strategies that were more efficient and effective, and to build a modern mass transportation system for the region. Unfortunately, and we lost sight of the goal, and things kind of went haywire. So as we have accelerated the growth, we have decelerated the development of the transportation infrastructure, and thus the problem we have.
Right. And clearly that rate of growth is overwhelming. I mean, our region has experienced a faster rate of growth than most major metropolitan areas in this country. And it is imperative that we as planners try to think outside the box and be creative in what the solutions are going to be. But in my mind, the key is how we're going to pay for these solutions, for the improvements. What is the region willing to pay for? How can we leverage dollars to the maximum benefit?
Look specifically, is there any one particular visionary act that happened in Atlanta's past that you would say was key, critical?
Well, I may be a little bit biased, but I think that the most significant, as far as transportation is concerned, was the decision to build a modern rapid transit system for the region at a time when the population, by the way, that decision was made basically just as the population turned to 1 million. And a lot of people said the Atlanta region was not big enough to support it. And the leaders at the time said, that's probably true, but we are going to be big enough to support it. And we're going to be big enough to support it very soon. So we better get started now. It takes a long time to put in place an infrastructure such as MARTA. And that's the problem, I think. That's the challenge for us, is to re-energize ourselves, to put before the region a plan that is exciting, that people will that will respond to the needs of the people, and then I think the money will come.
I know that both of you were participants in the whole planning process for the Olympics back in '96. What strategies did we employ during that time that really worked, and can we duplicate them again? Go ahead, Jane, why don't you take that?
Oh, sure. We employed many strategies. For the average commuter, we encouraged businesses to have flex hours for folks to go on vacation. We stressed it was a limited 2-week time period. We asked people to telework from home. Many of our demand strategies that we also are trying to encourage today. We also asked that deliveries to downtown be made at night or off hours, and that also helped quite a bit in traffic congestion.
And you'd like to revisit that, wouldn't you?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's one of the options that we're going to have to consider now in terms of this tremendous truck movement that we're experiencing and will are forecasting to experience in the future. We're going to have to look at other delivery options. Many major metropolitan areas do this now. ARC has a program, 187 Ride Find, that helps folks find people that they can carpool with and helps them find travel options. So it's a program that began during that Olympic time period and continues today.
Thank you both. I appreciate your time on A Shape of Things to Come. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.